Would you be able to do your job if you knew that dark entities kept following you everywhere you went, just looking at you and stalking you? Grab a Nesquik y un pan dulce and come listen to this. So, today's story, we have a grandfather and his daughter and her husband suffered a tragedy where they both lost their lives. It was a very heartbreaking scene because they were both going home from work when he was taking care of his grandchildren. His wife had passed away the previous year. So it's kind of rough on him, and he needed work because things were starting to you know pick up, and the kids had school things they had to pay and all that. So this happened back in like the early 2000s. He was looking through a yellow page book to look for a job, old school, and he came across this security for a warehouse, and it was a nighttime shift. It was okay pay, at that time for him, and it would the job description was, he just had to. They'll give him like a little like some less lethal weapons, so he could have. He's gonna be security, so he could walk the perimeter, walk the warehouse, make sure everything's locked down, nobody gets in, nobody gets. So he applies. They interview him. He goes in for an interview, and they're just like, what's your? Do you have a religion? What do you do? What do you used to do? You look a little bit older. Do you have military background? Did you serve in the police force? I asked them all these questions, but the one they were most concerned about was his religion. They were like, we prefer somebody that has faith to take this job in their religion. Either you're Christian or you're Catholic. And he was just in the moment. He was just like, this is weird. Like, why do they want somebody to be, faithful to their religion? Yeah. And he told him that he goes to church every Sunday. He's a Catholic man, so he's a Jesus man. They told him, yes, you can start tomorrow. So, he's all excited. He leaves. He's he's going home, and now he has to figure out a way that the kids could get. Now he had to find. He had to arrange like a babysitter, like overnight, since the job was gonna be from 9 to 6 a.m. I think, and he worked something out with his neighbor to where, she would go over there, stay with him for an hour, go back for 2 hours, and then, go back for another hour. Anyways, he did that arrangement, and then the very following day, let's touch base on this warehouse real quick. This warehouse was built in the 1800s. So it's an old warehouse. And like in 1860, they had a fire, and it was a tragic fire. There was people that died that lost their lives, and they restored it in 1925. And then it opened up. Somebody bought it, and then they started manufacturing stuff again. So it didn't take long for him to. It didn't take long for him to have like an encounter with something paranormal. It was the first night he went in, everything seemed normal. Another security guard, he greeted him, checked him out and everything. He already knew where his locker was. They had showed him that day before that. As he's going to his little office towards the entrance to the warehouse, he sees like this older TV right there that seemed to be there. It has like collected dust on the top, and it's just old. Like he turned it on, and it was like the black and white picture and everything. And he was just, that's weird because they got freaking monitors here and everything, and everything's normal. And he, a few 2 hours pass by, and he's sitting there, and he's like kind of dozing off, and his eyes are closing. He's like, well, I'm getting tired now. He's like, man, it's my first day. how am I gonna, like fall asleep on the job already? What if like the bosses come or something just to, check on me?
Yeah.
So he gets up and he opens the door. There's a little freaking creak to it. And he starts walking the warehouse. As he's walking, he feels like chills and goosebumps because it's everything's the only thing that's on is like the emergency lights and like a little bit of lights down the road.
Yeah.
And he's like, this is kind of creepy, and so he starts, whistling to himself, like a little whistle going down.
Whistling at night.
He has like his little baton, and he has a taser, and he has like they couldn't give him a real gun because it's not like a crazy military style warehouse. It's just normal warehouse. So they gave him like a fake gun to where if he saw somebody, he could scare him away. At least.
Yeah.
So he's walking. He's been walking for like 15 minutes already, and at this point he's at the very back of the warehouse. As he's going around, he's starting to make his way back towards the front. He feels like somebody's watching him, and he turns around, and he says, "I could have sworn I saw like a shadow going behind the box as soon as I turn." You know how sometimes you feel like somebody's staring at you, you look somewhere and it's like shadow leaves. Like,
yeah,
you think you're like, well, could that be something, or was it just my mind playing tricks on me? So he doesn't think nothing of it, and he keeps walking back to his office. 20 minutes pass by, and he's back to his office, and he sits down. He's checking all the monitors, making sure everything's okay. And in the very corner, at the top right hand corner, there's a monitor that looks over the very back of the warehouse into a corridor. And there's a kid there. And the kid is just like looking straight at the camera, looking dead at him. And the kid just kind of gives like a grin smile, like,
yeah,
and he's just like, at this point, he was just like, whoa, like, it's creepy, but he's like, let's think logical, maybe somebody sent him in here trying to get stuff, You know how bad people are, using kids for who knows what.
yeah.
So he opens the door, but as soon as he opens the door, he hears a whistle, like somebody whistling in the distance. And he's just like, it's coming from inside the warehouse, but it's like far, far in the back, and he checks the monitors. There's nothing there.
Yeah.
So he's walking around, and he kind of starts moving a little quicker towards the back. And when he gets there, he stops and he hears the whistle again. But this time it's coming towards him. So this whistle is like getting louder,
Yeah.
He's like, I can't explain this because it's kind of, in the story, it's kind of weird. It's like you can literally hear somebody whistling, but there's nothing there.
Yeah.
And then he said all of a sudden he hears the whistle dead in his ear. And he just like kind of freaks out and he runs back to his office. He's checking the monitors again and there's nothing there. At that point, he's kind of like, what do I do? Like, I can't be here. It's freaking, whatever this is, it's crazy. Like, he's like, I'm not going to deal with this. And then, but he's like, hold on. I have my grandchildren at home. They need me right now. I need this job. So that night passes after that. He goes home. He kind of tries to brush it off and he kind of looks into it a little bit. And he's like, well, my grandpa told me, once that he used to be for some people that don't know, it's like an elf. It's like an elf hunter, like a duende, or a gnome. A gnome. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Gnomes are very popular in Mexico, and they're evil. They're really evil little creatures. They're more like spiritual, kind of things that like to take things and make them get lost, and you can't find them no more.
Like when you can't find your left foot.
Yeah, it's like
Left, right?
I think like it's like yeah, I think it's your left sock. I think it's like when you can't find yeah. And he's like his grandpa told him, you know, the best way to catch a gnome is to put a piece of meat and wrap it in salt. He's like, because when they get to the salt, it like makes them stupid because they don't like the salt. Like they go like and they get all retarded. Oh, sorry, I don't know if they can say that, but anyways, yeah. Although beep. So he's like, okay, so he's gonna do a little experiment now. The next day, it's already time to go into work. He gets there and he takes his bike, and the shift starts. Everything's normal. He's sitting down. A few hours pass by, and he's like, okay, I gotta, he's trying to get the courage. He's trying to build the courage to go out there. He's looking at all the cameras, making sure nothing's there. And, he opens the door, and he's walking, and then he's like, he stops, and he feels somebody grabbing his shoulder. He turns around, and he sees this face right in front of him, inches away, and he's just like frozen in terror. He closes his eyes, and then he opens them, and it's gone. And he describes his face like as a woman, like a woman with black hair, very pale skin, and dark eyes. And she had like a dress, like a white dress, but like burnt, like if it was burnt or something. And he was like, okay, I need to calm down. I closed my eyes, I opened them, there was nothing there. He was like, it's part of my imagination. So, he's going back there, and remember, this time he's bringing the little experiment,
Oh, yeah.
So he goes back towards the back of the warehouse, and he has it ready already, the saw with the meat. So he puts it down on the ground to the entrance of the corridor, because that's where he saw the kid. He puts it down, and then he leaves. He goes back to the office, and then as he's looking on the monitor, that kid shows up again. But this time, it's like almost working. The kid picks it up, and he kind of starts eating it. And then once he hits the salt, he does it, like face like, "Ugh." And he goes like he literally disappears in the monitor, like he disappears. And it's like, okay, maybe this might work. And then he sits down. He's like, oh, he does a prayer. He's holding his rosary, and then it's around 3 a.m. already. He gets up because he thought he heard something. It's like a bunch of boxes falling, but like with heavy, I guess like with glass in it. Like the boxes fell, and then we heard the glass break inside it. So he gets up, he's looking at all the monitors, and he doesn't see nothing. So he does another walk. He's walking all the way towards the back of the warehouse. And this time he's like, he's never been down that corridor. Because, he was told that he wasn't allowed back there. But he was like, well, I'm going to walk back there and check, make sure there's nothing broken, nothing's open, nobody's back there. He walks all the way to the. So he's gonna go check the corridor, just to make sure that nobody's there, nothing's broken, no boxes, nothing fell. He starts all the way in the back, and he starts making his way up. Door locked, door locked, door locked, gate locked, and there is a door that has like a little. It's almost like a kitchen door where it has a piece of glass, like a round glass. And he hears shuffling in there, like, somebody's moving things. And this is where he makes the mistake of, instead of opening the door and checking, he's looking through the glass. So he's getting close to the glass. and he sees the lady again with the black hair, dark eyes, pale skin, with a dress, coming, walking right at him, like almost yelling, like, and he was able to distinguish what she was kind of saying. She was saying like, this is my stuff, like, don't take it from me. And all of a sudden, like, her apparition just goes towards the door, and he feels this cold of blast air go right through him. And he's like, he's like, F this. Let me go. He runs back to the office. He's checking all the monitors, and there's nothing there. So at this point, he's like, okay, I need to do something. The next day, he's kind of researching a little more. And he's he talks to he goes to church, and he talks to his father. He's like, what do you think I should do in this case? And he, how churches are. They're like, well, we don't believe in ghosts roaming the earth and stuff. Everybody either goes to heaven or goes to the other the other side. And he's like, maybe this soul needs just some guidance, like some peace, like a peace offering or something.
Put to rest.
And he's like, he kind of gets an idea. He's like, well, okay, And he's like, you can't have negativity in your heart either when you're doing all this, So he's like, okay. Next day comes along. He's getting there, and this time he has like a little. It almost looks like a little gift box. He's in a few hours. Checks the monitors. He checks the front gates, and he starts on his walk again. And he starts hearing this, like almost this growling. It's something a little different now. And it's as he's passing that same corridor down in the back of the warehouse. He's like, whoa, like this is different, the growling. So he's slowly walking towards the dark corridor where he can barely see anything. Kind of turns on his little flashlight, and he looks in the kitchen again, or not the kitchen, but the door that has a little piece of glass on it.
Yeah.
And he opens it, and the lady's standing there again. And this time he's just like, I'm not here to hurt you. I'm not here to take nothing. I'm not gonna do anything. I'm not gonna do anything to you. And he says, she literally turns around and she just walks away. And he said, when she does that, the dress falls. The one she had on. And then when she disappeared, he was like, this dress is literally here, like physically here. He grabs the dress and he puts it in the the little gift box. And he's going back to his office, and he puts it under his desk in a little on a little shelf cubby. Yeah. And he's like, I'm gonna put you right here. Nobody is here to hurt you. And after that, everything just kind of eased a little bit. Nothing was scaring him no more. But this is the thing though. He would still see shadows. He would still see that kid running around. And I guess it was just like the unsettled souls that were there, that didn't want to rest, They were like, you're taking my stuff and stuff like that. After that day, there were like a few months passed by now. And his bosses are like, nobody has been able to do the night shift. He was like, how are you able to, keep going with this? And he's just like, he was like, I don't see nothing. He's just like telling them, like, I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. And they're like, well, anyways, we're going to give you a raise. We're going to, we're going to send you to school so you can get your gun license and stuff. Yeah. And he's just like, wow, this is like turning out good. And like, I think everything has purpose.
Mm.
He's like, maybe this was my purpose. He's like, it's going good now. I'm getting paid better. I'm able to take care of my grandchildren now better.
Yeah.
And it's just after that, he just kind of went. Every time, he would walk around, he would just carry his rosary, kind of saying his little prayer and then saying, I'm not here to hurt nobody. I'm just here to take care of the warehouse and not cause any harm to anybody.
Mm.
And he just does his rounds and everything goes as normal now, like if nothing's happening.
Mm.
But he still sees the shadows and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just, I was thinking and I was like, if that kid this ghost kid was able to grab that piece of meat, he was able to grab the dress. It's just like, how how much of our reality can they manipulate, to be able to physically do those things,
Mhm.
I don't know. I find it interesting. I found that one interesting because I like the gnomes. His grandpa used to be a
Yeah.
gnome hunter.
And I feel like his bosses or whoever was hiring him, they knew what had happened all those years ago in the 80s,
Oh
in the
yeah.
1800s, about around that time. Maybe they were looking for someone to maybe figure out what's going on and if there's any way to maybe help the spirits or guide them to the right place.
Yeah.
Like with the woman that obviously died all that time ago in that fire. Maybe she was just obviously protecting what's hers, and he just kept her safe after that, making sure. And then probably just a grown man wandering the halls, whistling. Probably
Uh,
for him, his life is still going on like normal. And
yeah.
that little gnome, yeah, he needs to get out of there.
That
That gnome is just messing with him.
I feel like they kind of kept that from him. The part where he didn't know what it used. I mean,
Yeah,
it was another warehouse, but it had burned down. And I feel like they
yeah,
kept that from him.
yeah. They probably just wanted him to maybe experience it and see what he would do, or if he would just quit again.
Yeah.
Probably going through the roster. I like they passed him. That's nice. So that's interesting. That's they go like I feel like a lot of places like that nowadays that are still standing carry spirits that haven't
Oh
been
yeah.
able to cross over.
You know, we should look into it. The buildings downtown are the bars.
Mm.
I've heard stories about those bars. They're not. They're new to like the two,
Remodeled.
but they're remodeled.
Right. Yeah,
They're
yeah.
not torn down
They're
or
not
nothing.
torn down. They're all still
Yeah.
all those buildings and bars in Nashville, those are all historical
The
buildings.
canes that we did. That
That's an old
we just
building.
tore out the floor and
Yeah.
have you? Did you go? Did you ever go to the basement?
There's a basement.
Yeah.
Oh yes, yes, yes,
Did you?
yes, yes. I remember.
It was so it's
It was
creep. It gives like
it
bad
was big. It
energy.
was big, huh?
It was
I didn't
you
get
had to
it.
like kind of dip down, but
Yeah.
it gave bad energy.
Hmm. You know those ruins? That it's when you walk down to Broadway towards Cumberland River, there
Hmm.
are like some old buildings still standing there, some
Oh
historical
yeah,
buildings.
yeah. Indian tribe
I
been
think
building
so.
though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's some type of tribe that
I
was
don't,
there. It's still kind of standing.
I've been there at night before, and it gives me like sad.
Really?
Yeah, like sad vibes
Maybe we should go one night again. Tell a story there.
at night, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe.
I think they'd like that. Yeah.
But
If you guys like my story, make sure you like, subscribe, check out my Spotify and my YouTube channel. I'll leave the links down below. Would you be able to have a ghost as your coworker? Or would you be too scared? And if by any coincidence one of my listeners is starting a nighttime job, don't wander off too far into the darkness. You might get lost.